Good morning, everyone. It's Judith Echo. If you're listening to Mad Love, let's get into it. Happy Thursday. I had a really pleasant trip to Chicago. Very quick turnaround. But I got to spend a day and a half with one of my really close friends, and it was awesome. And I guess I just underestimated the importance of, um, taking a break, because ever since my brother died, that's all I've been doing is cleaning his apartment and trying to get his affairs in order. And it's a ton of cleaning. I'm pretty sure I've made that clear. His care team did not really do a lot of uh, cleaning or anything remotely close to, management of his space. So it's just been, you know, several giant bags of trash, and all of that kind of weighs you down, and it's heavy emotionally, it's heavy physically. So it actually was good to get a little bit of a break. And I got to hang out with my college roommate and her kids, who are great. And, when I was caregiving, I couldn't travel. So the last time I saw them was like 8 years ago. 8 years for kids. In kid years, a lot happens. Things change. They grow up, and now they're young adults. So it was really good to hang out with them. So I'm excited. This year I've seen at least two of my close college friends, and hopefully we'll see uh, all of them before the year is out. I only got one more to go. In terms of close college friends, but I would love to see some people I went to college with. I haven't seen people in years and years, but I don't want to see them in like homecoming settings and stuff like that, because it's too much going on. Which leads me to my point about Chicago. I stayed in River North. It's cool. I mean, the people were friendly enough. I didn't really have a lot of issues. My friend stays in Hyde Park. Very friendly, very walkable. But it's so many people. I mean, I think you have to grow up like that in order to just be like, this is my jam. Because it's just, I left at I started headed towards my car about 6:45 in the morning, and it was still 3 and 4 and 5 people right up on me as I was walking to my car, which that hotel was definitely, it's the Acme Hotel. It's very cool. It was full of white people, but everybody I saw working there was mostly black, and they played mostly black music, which was hilarious. Lots of Meg and Migos, Tribe Called Quest. I even heard, and it's kind of a cool, quirky hotel. Bring your own soap and lotion. They offered some soap, but they didn't give you little lotions, and you got to get up and go downstairs and wait for the bakery to open to get coffee. I don't know. I would give it a 3.5 out of 5, simply because there's not a lot of amenities, and they don't tell you there aren't any amenities. There's no room service. I guess hotels just don't like room service. But that was part of the fun of staying in a hotel. It's like, I'm tired, bring my food to me. So they don't do that. If I have to put on clothes to go get coffee and then go downstairs and meet DoorDash, what's the point? But anyway, I did enjoy the vibe. I wasn't mad at the vibe. But then one little wrinkle that did annoy me, that knocked a point off, is you park right beside the hotel. Like, there's a door, a garage door, park here, and you go up in it, and then you come out at another Hilton property. Tell me, that sex traffickers don't use this thing. You use that little wrinkle. So you come out around the corner. You have to walk in a square to get back to the Acme with your bags. So I'm thinking the first night I just missed the entryway into the Acme. But instead, no, that's how they designed it. So you come out in a Hilton Garden Inn and have to walk around the corner. All of which is fine if you know that. All of which is fine if you drop your bags off before you do all of that. So it was little things like that. It's like, man, you all could have gotten an A, except you need to make all of this stuff more clear. And it might have made me pick a different hotel. But I got a good deal there, so and it was cool. The people there were cool and I liked them, and I just think you have to communicate and manage people's expectations. Especially, if you're attracting a bunch of 20 and 30-year-olds, they probably don't care at all. But I saw a lot of people my age and over, and I'm sure we were like, what the fuck's the deal with the parking? I know that was the first thing I said. I'm in my 50s. I don't really have a filter. When I'm annoyed, everyone knows. And it was raining, so I'm like dragging this, my bag through a rainy, crowded Chicago street. I'm getting rained on, and it's like, what the fuck with the parking, bro? So anyway, but I had a pleasant trip. They were very nice and accommodating with the things that they could accommodate, and it was fine. It was fine. And so that was that. Again, I think I didn't, when I made the trip plan, my friend was so excited, it was no way I could back out. Not that I was thinking about it, but I was like, I gotta go. So I'm glad that I did. I really am, because I did need a change of scenery. It is low-key depressing to just be cleaning out a dead person's apartment and thinking about how neglected they were. And I've been doing that since the 23rd. Since he died, I started cleaning either that day or very shortly after that day. Because you have to go in and find paperwork and get things in order. And I started doing small things very quickly on. And that's been 3 weeks solid of that. So anyway, I'm glad to have taken a break. Glad to go to Chicago. Glad to be home. There was biblical rain on the way back. The drive up was super smooth. I made it 4.5 hours. But yeah, it started to get trafficy. You start getting stuck right as you get to Chicago. But I made it there in 4.5 hours. And I made it back home, in probably 4 hours. I was rolling. But I probably would have made a record, except that that rain right around Bloomington, Normal, it just I couldn't see a thing. And a lot of these guys, apparently they drive through this kind of weather a lot, and they still want to go 90. And I'm like, I can't see in between the wipes. The windshield wipers were clear. It was that kind of volume of rain. It was biblical. It was definitely biblical. Some people got flooded out yesterday, and it was blinding rain, and some people were going slow. So that's when you understand the slow lane and the fast lane. And I had to duck behind some slower cars a few times, and I was really grateful, because, like I said, some of these guys are trucks. Oh, excuse me. Not even just semis. Some of these guys in pickup trucks and work trucks, they all wanted to go 90. And I'm like, the faster you go, the harder it is to see. How are they doing this? So I don't know. But I made it back safely. It was about 40 minutes of some fairly intense rain, and maybe 10 to 15 of biblical rain. And, that wore me out. So I got home, got some food, relaxed, and took several naps. Did several walks on the treadmill to get my circulation back. But, it was a good trip. Anyway, that DTF St. Louis wrapped up on Sunday. And I didn't post because I didn't like the show enough to break a rule and try to get myself ready for a trip and podcast about that. It was one of the worst shows I've ever seen in my life. I do not understand. And the heavy guy on the show is a big creator of the show. I think he's the co-creator. And you can tell he's so proud of putting this together. And, he beat me. I've never put a TV show together that HBO bought. But man, it is so terrible. And it maybe he envisioned it more like a play or something. I don't know. But that last episode was so awkward and so bizarre. they had such a chance to take a much bigger swing at some of the social issues, even some of the social issues they wanted to tackle, which apparently included, how men age and get depressed and lonely, and they don't get to express it like women do, or something like that. I had to read that because I was not picking that up on the show. I just thought they were weirdos. But, all of this to say, and I know David Harbour is in the middle of a nasty divorce or just divorced somebody, and she is still very, very upset with him. I want to say Lily Allen. She's a musician, because she's been making shows about how terrible he is. But okay, I get that you go through things. We all go through things. Men have middle-age problems, a malaise. It may be close to menopause. I don't know. But there were opportunities to hire people to turn this vision into something meaningful and relevant that made the world a better place. This shit that they put out did not do that. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I think it's great that you get a chance to create a show for HBO, but, what was that? You had a chance to talk about these dating apps and how deceptive they can be, how alluring they can be, but it's false reality. You had a chance to talk about what it is like to be a middle-aged man and not have any friends and be sad about the quality of your life. We didn't get any of that. And however they framed it, it was around this trying to have sex, weird sex. And then you find out how his penis got deformed, and it's like, this is just the weirdest show. It just took a lot of swings and misses for me. And leave St. Louis out of it. A show with St. Louisans in it as a character would be infinitely more interesting than this. And this is what bothers me. People who live on either coast, they fly over the country and they think places like St. Louis and Iowa and Indiana are all the same place. Like that we don't have any kind of, what's a Twyla, Missouri? It's not a real place, and it's supposed to be close to St. Louis. Why are you doing this? I don't know. I'm so annoyed with that. And then for it to end so badly, I'm pretty sure it's a limited series. But if it is to be picked up again, I hope they don't use St. Louis. Just leave us out of it. It was really poorly done to me. They just missed. I mean, it was well filmed, and you could see they had a decent budget. I just didn't understand the St. Louis connection, and I didn't understand these weird relationships and why they were so determined to not film in St. Louis, yet they could film in Chicago. And yes, it was just B-roll, but, set it outside of Chicago then. What are we doing? You can't film anywhere in St. Louis, but only in Atlanta and Chicago. And then you won't even include real St. Louis references. Okay, poor decision making for me. And a city sets the tone of a show. You know what I mean? Like the Pitt is, they eat Pittsburgh food. Scranton had, Scranton food mentioned. You know what I mean? Like, we don't even have a Jamba Juice. It was just mad disrespectful. And I won't get unmad about that. I'm going to stay mad about that the way I stayed mad about Game of Thrones. And I think I'm the only one, because most people don't even talk about DTF. I wanted it to be better, and I only stuck it out because one of my friends in Chicago, my friend I just visited, she loved it. And I'm like, how are you loving this? But she thought they were going to go deep, and they never did go deep. Even the woman's character, it was nuanced at first, and then it was just sort of like, wah, wah. Once they, at the end of the show, decided she wasn't the murderer, it was like, well, what the fuck was she doing? And we get the fact that she was sad over the state of affairs in her marriage. But none of it, that's what I'm saying, none of it went deep. None of it went as deep as it could go and should go. In my opinion, when you have that kind of opportunity to tell a story and you've got a decent budget, you've got a good cast, who wrote this and who wrote it like this? And why didn't you go deeper? And why didn't you make a real statement? You see, you have a chance to make a deeper statement when you get these shows like that. When you get a platform like that, you can make a statement. And I recognize everybody doesn't want to make a statement. Okay, so then what's the point? What are we doing? And if you're going to create a project that doesn't have a statement, then make it irreverent. You know what I mean? Make it slick, make it fast, make it funny, but this was dark and plotting and slow and weird. And you're going to do all of that and not make a statement too? I don't get it. But that's some film school bitterness bullshit coming out of me, and I'm sorry. But, I've been wanting to have my own shit for I don't know how long. And when I see somebody waste an opportunity, it really pisses me off. It just does. Like, get better writers. Hire one person from St. Louis on the writing team. How hard is that? And if they say they had one, they didn't pick the right one. I don't know. I did not enjoy that. All right, so the Pitt wraps up tonight. I hope Dr. Robby makes it. He seems like he's been on the verge of having a stroke for the last 5 episodes. Everybody's on the verge of some sort of nervous breakdown in there. And I don't know how this season is going to end. Clearly, they're going to end on some sort of cliffhanger. And, I do think the writers have set it up so that this show, the format that they use, you forget it's just a day. So we've really only experienced 2 days in this ER. And Dr. Robby started the first day last season in a pleasant mood, just catching all the fly balls, just fixing all the problems, putting out all the fires, and was relatively pleasant about it. And now, after we get to, this will be the 30th episode of the show, like, this dude feels like he is coming undone. And like, he ain't gonna make it. So I'm not sure what the writers are going for. I know this is a hit show. I'm not sure if Noah Wiley is very involved. He writes and directs episodes. I'm not sure if they're planning on a long run. Maybe they only see 3 or 4 seasons. But if they keep at this pace, Dr. Robby won't make it. He's already very unpleasant to watch at this point. He went from being like the rock of the show to like the giant asshole yelling at everybody. And, he was already on the verge of a nervous breakdown the first season. And now you got him like hanging on by a thread and being so grouchy. I mean, it'll be curious to see what they decide to do. But it's a good show. It's a very good show. And for all we know, he may leave the show. I don't know. It feels like he might. But again, I've had a job where everything was so serious and people were depending on you and counting on you. And, putting people in prison is not what you call a fun job, And so somebody who, like Wesley Bell, who's nothing but a politician, there was no way he could stay in the prosecutor role because nobody likes the prosecutor. A prosecutor puts people in prison. It's not a fun job. It shouldn't even be a political job because somebody like him who's just a climber, not really interested in justice or the law or anything like that. And I can say that because I worked for him for 6 years and I didn't see any interest in what the people who worked there were actually doing. He wanted to pretend to be interested because it was a good look on him so he could do this shit he's doing now, which is just talking and pretending like he's invested. But he's better at doing that than he was at being a prosecutor because you have to know the cases, you have to know the law, and he didn't really seem to be all that engaged in anything that wasn't a political good look on him. And most of these cases aren't going to look good on any prosecutor because people are harming each other. And families and loved ones are looking at the prosecutor's office to fix it, to deliver them some justice. And of course it doesn't work. They're still mad after they get the guilty, but it is something. And Wesley just destroyed that office through neglect. He wanted to hire his friends and ride around and get on TV stations. He did not care about who he hired, and it was obvious. And that's what caused me a lot of stress and why I had to leave the job I loved so much. So I get being stressed out, and I get being frustrated, and I get being, but I'm not political and I'm not politically correct. There are a lot of people who feel exactly the way I just said, and they're too scared to say anything. I'm not sure why. He doesn't run my life, and I don't work for him anymore. And it was a horrible experience, truthfully. He didn't like me. I didn't like him. He had no respect for me at all. And I learned some valuable lessons from working for him, but not the kind of lessons you want to learn. It's the kind of lessons you have to learn so you can keep living your best life, And from him, I learned that misogyny is still very, very real. And I also learned that a lot of modern men pretend to love women, but they don't like women at all. They don't like us. And I've said this for years, and he and a guy I used to date are two of the reasons that I feel confident in saying it. There are people who want to be with women physically, but they don't want to hear our opinions. They don't like us. They don't like our thought process. They don't like how we are in the world. And it's problematic. But yeah. Anyway, that's a lot. I've covered a lot of ground. But, he's also the big reason why I don't. That's my last straw with politics. I don't trust or like or respect any politician. Maybe Thomas Massey, but the rest of them are just lying to you. They just lie. They will lie to your face. Both parties are exactly the same, and they don't care about the people, as evidenced by the way the society has evolved. If they really cared about getting middle income jobs and all the shit the Democrats have been saying for the last 30 years, it would look different. But they all say what they need to say to get elected, and then they do whatever they want, including buy stocks while they sit on certain committees and get rich, like Nancy Pelosi and some other people. There's a chart. I don't remember most of the names, but they were definitely both Mark Wayne Mullen. They were both Democrat and Republicans, and they sit in Congress and trade stocks. And Nancy Pelosi has done it to the tune of $200+ million since 2018. Come on, man. Scam likely. It's good to be back. I'm glad that everybody made it back to the show. Thank you for listening. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for always, showing up and showing out for me. My newsletter is doing great. It is consistently a top 30% opened email through Beehive, which is fantastic. I really appreciate all the love and the effort and the energy. I'm going to do some incentives for you guys. I'm going to still do my school community, but man, my brother died, and it throws a lot of things into, they got to wait. So, I have to hire an attorney. I got to go through probate court. There's a lot of stuff that's on the horizon. But I am not forgetting the things I said I wanted to do. And I do want to build a bigger community for us, caregivers, and because the government's not going to do it for you. And if you don't read Refuel, you should go ahead and sign up right now. It's it's Refuel by Faith and Gasoline at beehive.com, BEEHIIV.com, and sign up and get your friends to sign up And let's start building these communities for our families, because when you go to sign up for Medicaid and Medicare, there's no guarantee. Well, Medicare, you know, most of us get, you have to sign up for Medicare, and it's different. They're different things. We say them hand in hand, but Medicare is like your insurance. Medicaid, you usually sign up for that so they can pay for something like long-term care, because Medicare does not pay for long-term care. So Medicaid, when you go to sign up, and you got to be hip to what your state rules are, but basically you need to be dirt poor on paper to even qualify for Medicaid. And a lot of families think that's just a poor people problem until they start seeing these prices. And then just because you signed up for it doesn't mean you'll find a bed, because there are so many people aging and needing the resources at the same damn time. Anyway, I'm talking too long. I've said a lot. I hope you have an amazing day, and thank you for, like I said, the support for this podcast, the support for the newsletter. It's been really lovely, and I thank you for your time. Have a great day.